In this video, I will demonstrate how to move an object using ContentAware Move in Adobe Photoshop. With an image already open in Photoshop, you can see in this example the petals give the flower a nice sense of radial balance, except for this one little section here that could use some additional petals. So I can use the ContentAware Move tool to copy some of the petals and move them into this negative spot. First, I always like to right-click on my background layer and duplicate that layer. And then in this box, click OK and make sure you have that background copy selected. Over in your toolbar, click on the lasso tool, and then click into your photo and drag the lasso around the part of the object that you would like to move. When you come back to your starting point, let go and it should bring up these dotted lines called marching ants. Then go back to your toolbar and find the Spot Healing Brush tool. Click and hold on that tool to bring up this list. Then find the ContentAware Move tool listed below. With the ContentAware Move tool selected, click back into the object on your picture, and now use your cursor to move that object where you would like it. You can use the bounding box to adjust the size and placement of that object. And hovering your cursor at the corners allows you to rotate the object. Up in the options bar, you can either cancel that move or accept it. So I'll click the check mark, and you'll see that it has moved the petal over in my photo. To get rid of the marching ants, go up to Select, Deselect, or click Command or Control D on your keyboard. So for my image, Photoshop did an okay job, but you might have to use other tools like the Spot Healing Brush tool to clean it up and try to make it look like that object was always in that new location. In your Layers panel, you can turn on and off the visibility to see the before and after. You'll want to also pay attention to lighting and shadows. And I noticed that there should probably be a shadow on this new petal, so I'll use the Clone Stamp tool. I'll hold Alt or Option on the keyboard to select my source point, the shadow, and then click to add a bit of that shadow onto the petal. I'd like to show you a second example with this image where I might want to move this pillar over closer to the others to create a sense of rhythm, but I want to demonstrate some optional features that you have that can be really helpful when using these tools. So first I'm going to choose the lasso tool and drag around this pillar. So I'll click and drag the lasso around and be sure to get the shadow as well. Here I notice I've captured a little too much of the sand, so I'd like to switch to the Quick Selection tool. Hold this icon and it's listed here. And then you can use the plus or minus brushes and adjust the size of the brushes here. So I'll use the minus brush to adjust my selection and make it a bit tighter. Then I'll switch back to the ContentAware Move tool. I'll click on the object and scooch it in line with the other pillars and click above to accept that move. And now you'll see that my lasso tool was perhaps not wide enough and it's left parts of the pillar behind. So I want to show you how to fix this. Click Command or Control Z to undo that move. With the marching ants, you can come up to Select, Modify, and Expand. The number of pixels you put here depends on your selection. For example, I'll put in 30 pixels, click OK, and you can see how dramatically it has expanded the marching ants. I'll Command or Control Z to undo. Again, go up to Select, Modify, Expand. And this time I'll choose a smaller number, 7 pixels, click OK. And now the marching ants have expanded to make sure there's just a little bit more coverage. I still have the ContentAware Move tool selected, so I will grab this selection and move the pillar again. And now when I hit the check mark, you'll see it hasn't left any of the pillar behind, except for little bits here and there. Click Command or Control D to get rid of the marching ants. I'll switch back to my Spot Healing Brush and use it to clean up a little bit of the water and the sand to hide the original pillar. Then you can turn on and off the visibility to see the difference, and I think that looks okay for now. In this last example, I want to show you a way to copy and move a pillar without getting rid of the original. Let's say you want to copy this pillar and add it to the end to continue this pattern. Use the lasso tool again to trace around the subject you'd like to copy. And instead of ContentAware Move, right-click on that selection and choose Layer via Copy. Turn off the visibility of the background layers and you can see that it has copied that one pillar onto its own layer. With that layer selected, go up to Edit, Free Transform, or click Command or Control T on your keyboard. This bounding box will come up and you can move the copied image in your picture plane. Use the bounding box again to adjust the object, but it still looks pretty similar to the original. So you can make further adjustments. I'll go up to Edit, Transform, and I'll change the perspective of this. This will adjust the angles of my object and its shadow, making it look a little bit more unique, and I'll accept that transformation. I see a little bit of sand that doesn't match the new location, so I'm going to turn off the visibility of the background copies, and then with that new layer copy selected of this pillar, you can select the eraser tool in the toolbar, and you can use it to clean up any of the edges, erasing the extra sand. Toggling off the visibility, I think it looks pretty good. So now you'll want to save your work. Go to File, Save As, and I save it in my Creative Cloud files in a folder for this class. I rename it with my first name, last initial underscore. This is Unit 01.4 ContentAware Move, and I'll save it as a Photoshop file. Then for my web page, I'll go back to File, Save As, this time changing the format to a JPEG. And that is how you use the ContentAware Move tool to move objects in Adobe Photoshop.